we've got tonight Steve Daines and Pryke will talk about the way that clubs can contribute and help in society in a general sense rather than just in the cricketing sense. And after that, we've got Scott Simmons, head coach, talking about what he's been doing with Zoom coaching up at Upminster. I'll keep dropping people in. So over to you. That's the only thing which is the standard issue in terms of what we've already talked about the name. So West Mercia Cricket Club. Over to you, Steve.
Yeah, hi everyone. You can still hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Just been asked to come on and speak about what we've been doing this season because a lot of our members, we haven't seen them obviously. And we started the first Essex cricket team. We got involved in that, seems like a while ago now, for our local porch pantry, which some guys run a charity at the church. We're now planning our 4th donation, which is our Christmas special. And it's a good way for us. I used sort of our house as a drop-off point, and the members drop off their stuff to me, socially distanced. And it's a good idea just so we can just see them, make sure everyone's okay. Because we have probably about 40 or 50 children normally if we was on a session in the summertime. But we've probably dropped quite a few of them off. It's just trying to keep, in with the community and make sure everyone's okay. We should have had lots of stuff planned because of the Jack Petchey this summer. We would have had a junior cricket tour. We had go-karting booked, some clip and climb, which I think Pryke was going to do. And also we've got a sailing trip. So all of that is obviously on for next year. But it's just trying to make sure that, we don't lose any members to anything else. And just, make sure everyone knows we're still here. So if anyone needs, any help or with anything, we've done a bit of shopping for some of our older members. Sadly, some of our older members have had partners and family pass away this year. It's just nice for them to know that the club is here for them. It's not just cricket. It's just a way of sort of getting everyone involved. We've got our Facebook group. We just put, a few comments out there every maybe couple of weeks, maybe once a month, get a few people engaging, just to help out any way we can, really.
Let's put that next slide up. You want to say about what you're doing coming up?
So, sure.
Yeah. What's your plans for over Christmas?
That's Steve there, or do you want me to?
Yeah, if you want to go. I think Steve's frozen for a moment, but...
Okay. So, effectively, we wanted to make the last one of the year a special one. What we have done, which Steve's not mentioned yet, is that we actually reach out right across the whole island. Again, something that I'm sure most clubs that have been involved in this, it's not just our own members, but as with most organisations and clubs, we're part of the community, and actually to let them know what we're going to do so that if they want to join in, drop stuff off. We've had donations made in cash as well as in food, because again, some people perhaps live a bit further away from the club, don't want to sort of, or haven't got the time to drop off. And then we've just added to everything that we can. But one that I popped out very, very recently, right across North Essex, but it's something that we'll probably do advertise very soon, is something that Age Concern are involved in, where they're asking people if they can befriend somebody, and in normal times perhaps go out to the person's house. You have to be DBS cleared obviously, but perhaps spend half an hour with somebody perhaps a bit older in society, and just to have someone to chat to. And I think if nothing else during this whole COVID sort of disaster that we've had this year, I think the fact that there are an awful lot of people now that are really isolated. We've probably all got elderly relatives, or perhaps even just single friends, or even children that are at university right now, who are no longer part of that hub where they can just get together on an ad hoc basis. You can't just go down the pub or whatever. And so we put it out, certainly in the north of Essex, to see if any of our club members would like to get involved. At the moment, it's just by phone calls. And again, I think the message that we were just sort of trying to put across is that for a lot of us, we are an adult or a junior cricket club. And that's really what we're about. And Scott will talk about that in a minute. But I believe
join a webinar about
we are
cricket.
so much more of
A webinar.
Crikey,
we
just
want to really.
It's basically a meeting.
Somebody's chatting through. I don't know who.
I'm going to mute all just for a moment, and then if you want to come back and unmute yourself. Okay, Pride. You want to just come back in with that, with your one, and Steve, if there's anything else you want. I know you had a bit of problems.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah. So again, I'm not saying that clubs should be any different. If you are happy being a cricket club, that's what we've set up to do. That's absolutely fine. I just believe that in the world we live in now, and to keep people actively involved, you look around the clubs that are really going places, and it's because they're really making themselves strong in their communities. People know them as a little bit more than just a cricket club that plays for a few months in the summer. You've got to keep yourself busy. And as Steve started to mention, with the fact that our children weren't going to necessarily have as much cricket as in a normal summer, how many clubs right now we can't do our winter sessions, or we're having real difficulty in working out how we're going to engage over the next few months those junior sessions. So trying to come up with something else a little bit more creative might just be worth doing that. And I'm happy to have private chats off this with anyone about ideas, and also perhaps on this call, but share some good practices, share some ideas that work for you, because we really want to get that out there, because it is a difficult time. I'll shut up there, Phil, and let Mr. Simmons, he's just gagging to get going.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, just to finish, thank you, both of you guys, for that. And as I say, if anybody's got any other examples of good practice, it would be good to hear. And I think cricket's been leading the way in terms of looking to work with communities and give opportunities to kids who don't get any exercise. And I think football, with the notable exception of Marcus Rashford, hasn't done a lot. But you look at some of the contributions our first and second team players have been making to the community. It's something really to be very proud of. And I think, as I say, if you let Prikey know about any requests you've got, any good practice, or anything we can publicise, please do. Steve, thank you very much for that, and appreciate all the efforts you've been doing and contribution tonight. Good. Okay, Scott, let's put your first slide on. There we go.
Needs on mute. That's it.
It's typical Zoom issues. I'm on mute. Can you hear me? Can you see me? It's a standard start, isn't it? No, that's great. That's superb work over there. To make that difference and doing what you do is superb. And those who've got ideas or are doing something, please let us know, because, like they said, best practice is key. We all learn from each other, all use little bits from each other's skill sets and sort of make it our own. So, I really, really enjoy that. So thank you very much for sharing that. That's superb. My name's Scott Simmons. I'm the head coach at Upminster Cricket Club, also head coach at Newvic College in East London, Plaistow. Been busy, been a bit of a mad year. I think we've done a webinar a few months ago, start of the pandemic, the issues that we have with COVID. We thought we were sort of going to get somewhere in sort of June when we went back outside after all the hard work we've done. And now we seem to be back in lockdown again. So I just feel horrendous for these kids that have got no sport, no physical activity, no, relationships made with their mates. It's just horrendous time. So for me personally, it's just something we need to be looking at. And I think, like Phil said, what can we do in these times to really sort of still engage and enhance these kids' cricket excitement? So I've got a few things that we've done recently that we're looking at doing at Upminster. We put some plans in place, just sort of going over some slides that we put across a few months ago in case you haven't seen them. So looking at our planning side of what we were doing, it's really important that we plan our sessions and know what we're trying to do. So just some little details on here is just about Zoom, looking at short sort of 30-minute sessions, key things about safety, child protection, etc., is making sure we change our passwords every few weeks just to make sure that they don't get in the wrong hands, sending out our messages into the private groups and making sure our managers send them out planning our sessions in advance is key. I think I look at 4, 6, 8, 10-week plans, adapt, etc. Obviously, being outside was a lot easier in the summer. It was lovely weather we had. I think I only had 2 sessions that I couldn't do in my own garden out of 12 weeks. So it was pretty amazing. So now we're inside in the winter. We need to then adapt, change, think about different things, which a lot of people probably struggle with. So hopefully I've got some ideas to help you with that. That's for sure. Slide for me, Phil.
Yeah.
Thank you, mate.
All right. There we go.
We're going.
Let's have a go. It's all right. Why is that not changing?
There we go.
That slide doesn't want to play for some reason.
That's all right.
Okay.
That's all right. That's no problem. So just some ideas. All the coaches, obviously, where I tutor, our foundation level 1 and our old level 2, which is now changing. All the coaches have access to iCoach Cricket, which is a superb resource. So lots of ideas on there. They've got loads of new ideas for lockdown that you can do in the back garden if the weather's all right and indoors. So please, coaches, have a little look on there. Really good access. I think you can sign on without obviously being a coach, but there's obviously limited access on there. So please have a little look and use that. It's a real good coaching aid, which you can then download onto your phone as well. Thank you, Phil. So just your coaching. So just setting up your sessions. Obviously things outside are obviously very different to inside, but we still need to be thinking about how we're going to do it, how we're going to plan it, thinking about little warm-ups, thinking about what skills you're trying to do. Reflecting is key. So using, like with Zoom, like we're talking about, the chat box is so important. Get the kids engaged, get them on there on the chat, get them thinking about ideas, get them writing things down. Don't be scared of thinking that it's taking a bit of time. Use that time to really get their brains in gear and put that across. And they'll come up with some great ideas and some great bits. Thinking about how you adapt it, progression, little competitions. And I like to give a little bit of homework as well. I know they've probably got quite a bit on at work, but at school, not at work, they're only kids, at school. But, little bits to go off and think about they can do with their parents. So it really excites them. They come back the next week and they can give the answers that you've asked for. So just thinking about how you can make those really interactive sessions using Zoom and all the skills that you can put across and really helping them sort of enhance their session a bit more. Thank you, Phil. So like we're talking about, step for me is key. I mean, I coach all day, pretty much every day, and steps are a key part. Hopefully you would have heard of it if you've been on my coaching courses. And we use this all the time in every session that I plan. So thinking about steps, so think about your space. So obviously we're going from outdoors to indoors. There's a lot of valuables in some of these houses I've looked in on Zoom. So thinking about what you're using, the space where they are, thinking about socks rolled up, soft items that they can use for catching, those sort of things. Obviously thinking about your skill that you're trying to do, and how it can actually relate. And remember, everyone's got a different size house. They've got maybe not have all the internet access. They might only be able to use it in the kitchen. So just thinking about what I did a lot of the time, some people's internets were an issue when they're outside. So we used to do all the drills when they're indoors, have a little chat with them, what I wanted them to do, and then send them off outside to practice it. So obviously the coaching side is a little bit different, but they still get the same sort of experience from you. So even if they haven't got the space where the computer is, they can go elsewhere to practice and then come back. So just thinking about making sure everyone's included, which is key. Obviously, equipment, minimal as possible, because they probably haven't got much at home. I'm quite lucky. Obviously, I found that I didn't actually have any equipment issues, which was quite scary. I had to actually end up getting more myself. But just think about the equipment they need and what you can really adapt your session to make it easy to do, which is really important. And obviously, like we're talking about, P for players, how old they are, what the ability is, what do they want to get out of it, and how can we really use the time we've got with them to really sort of enhance their experience and upskill the players. Thank you, Phil. So just key things, we're going over coaching tips, which is so important. Like we were on here 15, I think Phil was on here 25 minutes early, to be fair, but get on there early, get the session in, making sure you know what's going on, you're all prepared, you've got all your kit ready, You're in a good space. You're not going to be disturbed, even though kids running about, it's not normally going to happen, or someone walks in to get a drink. But that's life. I think that's a fun bit with Zoom. I think we've even seen it with some high profile people in their living rooms when people come in and walked in the door. So don't worry about it too much. Just like what Phil said earlier as well, name on the screen's key. Get to know the kids' names, making sure. I mean, I've got to know probably about 240, 250 kids from March, and I pretty much know every person's name now, girls and boys, all the way through the age groups. It's taken me a bit of time, but the help on Zoom with their names on really does help, which is key. And then you can really coach them, give them feedback, and it makes a difference to their experience and to actually feel like you know them better. I think just looking at demos, if you need to, video sharing, like screen sharing on here, get some videos from the internet if you want them to do something, or use the videos for them to sort of analyse, which is key. And then obviously, like I said, chat box. So hopefully some of those tips will help get you thinking outside the box. Some of them will be basic. I don't want you to, I'm not teaching you to suck eggs for sure, but some things we do forget about now and again, that's for sure. Next slide, please. Key one for me, parents. I think all of you know how important parents are. You know, you end up getting the parents who come along, they end up helping out or doing some sort of job at the club, which most of us need. You know, all these little cricket clubs are all very much volunteer based, and without parents and helpers, we've got pretty much no chance of surviving. So if you get them on board, honestly, this year after being at Upminster, the parents have just absolutely loved it. They've been so helpful, and they've really engaged with the club a lot more, and it has helped. Lucky we've got a lot of kids, you know, we've got lots, and every parent has been fantastic and really, really engaging with the club. So we couldn't ask for really more. Remember, lots of goes, lots of effort, keep it simple, which is the most important thing. And I think most important of all is they walk away learning one thing. That's the key thing. Walk away learning one thing, which would be great. Let's go. What we got? So going forward, so going over how the sessions are or run, just some ideas. I think hopefully some of you maybe have some ideas in your heads now. We might be able to put them in the chat box as well, what we could do. I think, like I said earlier, put videos up. We can analyse. That's just come to my head, by the way. Analyse some batting, bowling, fielding, and really get the kids looking at what the players are doing really well, and they can bring up those highlights. And also the funny, you know, they've got the funny videos of bloopers, as we call them, when there's some quite funny mistakes. They can sort of look at why they were made. What can we do better? What could they do better? So things that I'm looking at running, and we'll be starting running, is looking at tactics. Field positions are so key. How much time do we spend looking at fielding positions in our sessions? We're so busy hitting balls, catching balls, throwing balls, etc. We rock up on the field, or the kids rock up on the field, and not know where to stand, or not know how to set a field, not know why we set fields, etc. So looking at how we can do that on Zoom, which is a perfect time now in the winter where we can't get outside. So looking at that, I think that's a key thing. I did quite a lot of that in the summer, even with our adult groups, our under 16s up to the women's section, and that was quite good fun. Make it a bit of a competition, make a winner, etc. You know, that's really good. I'm looking at doing a session, like a Zoom session on captaincy, looking at what makes a good captain, what does a captain mean? You know, trying to get these younger players to actually think, do I want to be a captain, and what's involved, and the pressures that a captain's under, and how can the players help captains run the game and get through the game. I think a key one for me is what's needed to make it to the top. I'm looking at, you know, these kids, how much practice do you need to do? Is it easy to get to be playing for Essex? You know, all of a sudden becoming county champions, T20 blast champions. You know, it doesn't just hand it to you on a plate. So understanding what's needed, because there'll be a lot of kids that want to be pros, that want to be playing professional cricket, and it's quite a nice chat to actually have about how do we go about having an opportunity to get there. Looking at knowing your game, batting, knowing your game, bowling. You know, understanding what it is to go out in the middle and set up your innings. What preparation do you need? What are you thinking as you walk down to the pitch, to the square, to face the first ball? You know, we're looking at the TTP-MLS is technical, tactical, physical, mental, and lifestyle. You know, what is it they need to do and working on? Same with bowling. Why do we bowl a ball? What's our game plan when we've got a ball in the hand? Is it just to chuck it down there and let the whack it for 6, or actually are we setting up plans? Are we working out what batsmen can do? You know, so the real in-depth part of it, which we don't really have the opportunity to do very, very often. You know, I try and add it into my sessions, you know, but when you've got a group of X amount of kids, you know, it's hard to have those conversations with all of them. You know, it takes a bit of time. So these are perfect times when we're sitting here over Zoom to make these conversations and get them really thinking about actually what do I want to do with the ball in my hand, you know, and then that comes back to captaincy, etc., and tactics and field settings, and it all sort of links along the pathway, which is what I'm trying to do as a coach. And then lucky enough for Essex, we've got a couple of pros. You might know some of them. We've got Adam Wheater and Aaron Beard are assisting me with my coaching front me, so which we're very, very lucky to have, and they're fantastic coaches, and you know, to have two proper champions and actually trophy winners helping and assisting with coaching is superb. So luckily enough, we've got them to come along, and they're actually coaching and leading coaching sessions for us. And they're looking at setting up some Zoom sessions with them, asking some questions and answers. You've probably seen them on Instagram. There's been a few going on. So we're looking at setting that up so we can really get the kids coming in and thinking about some really good questions about, you know, just some random ones, you know, anything they can think of that's going to help them enhance their coaching and their cricket. Next slide, please. So probably thinking, how am I going to do that? What's going to help me here? So some things like this. So head coach, your head coach of your club, I'm sure has got some experience, played a bit of cricket. You know, we can always get involved. We've got our own ideas. Not everyone's the same. That's what makes us all very individual, and we have very different ideas. You know, every captain's very different. Aggressive captains, defensive captains. So everyone's got very different views. So looking at your head coach coming in, getting these sessions run, players at your clubs, looking at your first, second 11 captains, third 11 captains, who's happy to have a chat, put their sort of opinions across, opening up some forums and having a chat, getting your bowlers and bats involved. You know, who scored the most runs last year? You know, why did you score so many runs? What was it about you that did that? And what did you need to prep in, you know, to make that happen? You know, so these guys can, or ladies can help with these sessions. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to help in these times. And obviously, like I said, if you know any current or ex-professionals, I'm sure you've all got contacts. You know, how can we get them involved? It really help our cricket community. So it's like creating a fun learning environment where the coach not just listen but take part, which is the key. So allow questions, allow conversations, allow different thought processes, which is good. Let the kids sort of put their thoughts across. You know, they're really important for these kids to have an opinion. And if there's any issues, like if there's any worries with these question answers, always have questions already. So when you've got these question answers, have them already, just to start the ball rolling, which is always a good tip, rather than it all going quiet and the old wing going across. Next slide, please. So these are just some, if you want to have a little read. So I had sent a message to Upminster a few weeks ago, just sort of asking about their experience on Zoom and what they felt their kids sort of received from Zoom and all the work we put in, and how it really sort of enhanced their kids' time during lockdown, obviously in some sort of bad times that we had when they were locked up away and not seeing anyone, only via Zoom. And I had so many responses back. It was just phenomenal. So I couldn't thank them enough for giving me some feedback. So these are just some feedback, some testimonials that we got just about how much. I think you'll see the same sort of link throughout these, of just how much it helped their kids be still part of the community, be part of the club, seeing their friends, you know, enjoying the game they love, which is, you know, we're all missing. And I think we missed it for quite a while until we could get back and plan a bit, but it's obviously been taken away again for a while. And I think some of them they're probably some of the best ones we had, but a lot of them pretty much along the same line. So you can see there's some great stuff on there, which is all sort of relevant to what we are going back into now. There's even one about me on there. I couldn't believe it. I didn't even pay him to say that.
Good. Okay. Scott, thanks so much for that. That's really, really impressive and sort of not just in Essex, but across the country, some really good examples of Zoom coaching. One of the things that I'm really concerned with is that group of primary kids who lost a lot of school in lockdown, having disruptive school. And also, one of the biggest problems is schools not really being confident about having their sports coaches or chance to shine coaches coming out to them. So if we can engage with that little group to give them any sort of coaching, Zoom coaching, as Scott has described, we need to keep them engaged in cricket. We need to keep them active, really. Otherwise, we're going to have a generation of kids who are going to have really challenging situations around obesity, but also that lack of involvement that what a team sport brings. Just on that, just to re-emphasise, when you are doing Zoom coaching sessions, can you always ask that the parents at the start of the session make sure that you know that the parents are involved, they are using their camera on their kids and giving feedback, even to the point of asking them just to reverse the screen so you can see who it is and they've logged in. What we can't have is kids using it themselves and then possibly put themselves at risk about where they're playing it or what they're doing. So again, Zoom has changed all our lives over the last few months, and what Scott's been doing. There's a lot of opportunities now to ask questions either in the chat box if anybody wants to come in, to either Steve or Scott. Any questions, any thoughts, observations, please do. Phil, we've got only enough people. If you want to open your mic up and just come up with any questions or comments. Yeah.
Hi, John from St Albans. Just something that was said early on by the guy from Mersey, Steve, is it? That there was quite a little byline that I thought was really good, which is he said that it's not just cricket, and I think that's a sort of shorthand, maybe. And I'm not a marketing person, but it seems to me that that's a sort of great marketing thing for cricket clubs. It just struck me that while he said it. Just a thought.
Oh, that's a great one. I'm going to make a note of that. It's not just cricket, yeah. It does try and put cricket in a position rather than just being a sport which actually has meaning to a lot of us, but actually can have a real impact on the whole of the community and society. So, yeah, thanks for that, John. Anybody else? Any comments or any questions?
Just based on what Scott said, although Terry is still going, and Terry and myself, when we were doing the 14s, we were amazed at the start of each season, despite them practicing all the way through the winter and being involved in all sorts of cricket practices and formulating things and so on. After about 3 games, we used to have to sit them down and just tell them basics about, in a 45 over game, looking for an extra run and over to say a weak fielder or where there was a gap in the field, and putting our best fielders in the best places to save a run. All of a sudden, without doing anything dramatic, you can make 90 difference to the score just by gaining a run and over and stopping the other side getting a run and over. So a lot of this can be very simply got over to people, but normally when you're rushing to a game during the season, even with elite players, they get there, they change, they have a warm-up, they're playing. At the end of it, they want to get away. So there is actually time during this where you can get the sort of messages that Scott is getting over to people. You have got a chance to get it into their brains that while I'm batting, without taking any risks, if I can see a weak fielder or a gap in the field, and me and my partner know what's going on, we can get an extra 1-2 runs per over with no risk whatsoever.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Cliff. That's really important. One of the things that certainly when Scott and I are working on coach education courses, we're trying to get coaches to get that idea where we communicate as much as just tell, and actually ask them the question, where can you get extra runs? So thanks for that. Andrew, you've got your hand up if you want to come in.
Yeah, it's just new to these webinars that you put on. I just want to thank you for that. They're really informative. Great to see the work that's been going on in the background. And I thought, you can clearly see Scott's passion for it. I thought it was excellent presentation. I think as a cricketer myself, I think I'd just sign up to some of Scott's courses to
Thank you very much.
tinker with some of my own frailties. I mean, I'm as new chairman of Twinston Cricket Club, we're a tiny little club, we don't have a junior section. So my experience with regards to what Scott was talking about is as an under 12s football manager, and I know that's a dirty word on this webinar, but yeah, those key things about it's not just about the improvement in their cricket, but the social aspect. The under 12s that I do for football, they've just all gone up to upper school, and I make a big thing every third week or something when we're doing our sessions, just to say how important it is that they get together, they build those relationships, so they've got pals around every corner of this new big school that they go to. So I just wanted to emphasize how important a lot of the words that you guys have used about the social aspect, and as well as the health and benefits of it, are so important. So well done, you guys.
Thanks, Andrew. Any support you need for encouraging young people to get involved in your club, please come back to that.